Hello, hello, hello. Gotcha. Hello, family.
Hello, how you doing today?
How are you doing? Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday.
Yes.
We are Barbara
Joe Milburn,
and together we are Team
Team Milburn.
Milburn. We are back again for another Saturday on Black and Married with Kids for a takeover. Thanks to Dr. Dunamis D and her beautiful daughter Ariel Fuller, who are the owners of Black and Married with Kids. They have given us the opportunity to take over their platform for a few minutes, 30 to be exact, a little more, a little less, just to sit and chat with you and say hello, how you're doing. And we come under the heading of Marriage Over 70. And today our topic is life in the 70s. So come on in, come on in, come on in. Do me a favor before we get started. There's a link in the chat. If you are not a member of the Black and Married with Kids private Facebook, go ahead and click that link so you can be abreast of all of the activities that we have. Next thing I would like for you to do, if you don't mind, is to share your page so that your friends can see our video. We would appreciate that very much. And just come on in, come on in, come on in. As you're coming in this morning, I'm going to ask you this afternoon, this evening, I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. And I might ask this again a little later on. I'm borrowing this from my friend Glenda Hayden. And she says, if you have been coming here every Saturday, if you have been meeting us here every Saturday at 6 p.m., put a 0 in the comments. If you are new, if you have never seen our faces before and you have no idea who either of us are, put a 1 in the comment. The 1 so we can acknowledge that you are here and thank you. The 0 because you are our heroes, because you keep coming back every weekend to sit with us, to chat with us, to help us just have a little conversation. It just flows so much better when you got somebody in the outside that you can chat with. So come on in. Come on in, come on in to another Saturday with Black and Married with Kids with Team Milburn.
Milburn.
And I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping on my telephone and shut up for a minute so Joe can talk because he's really got it. So come on in, get comfortable, get yourself a glass of wine, cup of tea, cup of coffee, and come on in with us.
Today I'd like to take you on a little trip, not far, just about 50 years back, to a decade where somehow feels both like yesterday and another lifetime. The 70s, a time when gas was cheap, pants was wide, and nobody cared about the color of the shag carpet. You know, they had pink, they had red, they had orange, and
Kinds of colors.
all kinds of colors back there. It was a colorful era,
It was.
you know. The 70s was a mood all by itself. It was a decade of big personalities, bigger hair. I couldn't grow mine out fast enough. We had disco music. On one side, we had rock music on the other side. And somehow we learned how to dance to both of them, and modern jazz was coming into play where Roy Ayers, Connors, Brother Johnson, Phoebe Snow, Phyllis Hyman, they all was a part of the 70s. And really the 70s wasn't all fun and games. We had to find ourselves. We had to live through challenges and mishaps.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Earlier today, as I was reflecting about the 70s, and it really came to my realization that, well, dang, I didn't really meet Joe until the 70s was almost over.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, 70s was more about changing roles and finding about who I was, because I'm still finding about who I am. Um, in 1970, I was out in the world. with a 2-year-old child on my own, trying to make it, thinking that I knew what being an adult was, when truly I did not. Um, I didn't have the right foundation to direct myself, much less my child. During that same period, I also went through rape by gunpoint.
Mm.
I got married. I went through domestic violence. I got a divorce. I went through job after job after job, just trying to find a job that could, number one, fit in my schedule. Because in the early part of the 70s, I was still in school. Graduated from Emerson High School just because when I got pregnant, everybody says, you're not going to graduate. And I had to prove them wrong.
Mhm.
So even though the struggle was hard and difficult, I, in my mind, could not fail because I could not allow them to see me fail. So 1971 was the year that I graduated, but I still went through 2 years of high school with my son. And I remember not having enough money to get to school, or not having enough money to get my son to the babysitters. I was blessed, God still, oh, even then, even though I didn't have enough common sense in my brain to acknowledge him and to say thank you every morning and to recognize that it was him that was keeping me, he did. That's why I always say, even when we didn't know no better, God still kept us. And that just goes to show the love of who God is. But I remember, and for those of you guys who live in the Baltimore City area, we were living up around Poplar Grove and Bloomingdale, I'll say, around in that area, Walbrook Junction area, in a sense. And high school was Edmondson High School. So it was like way down the road and then across the bridge. And what I would do, because I never had enough money to catch the bus both ways, is I would catch the bus from my house with the baby and the baby bag, my notebooks, pocketbook, whatever else I had to carry. I would catch the bus from the house to the babysitters with my son. And then once I dropped him off, I would walk from the babysitters to class. And at the time, we were doing something called what you call it when you went to school half time and you worked half
Work
time?
study.
Work study. Thank you.
Mhm.
And so I got out of school at 12 o'clock, but not to get off. I got off to go to a job, and I was even blessed there because I was working at Social Security Administration. How many people at 16, 17 years old have a job working at Social Security Administration? So I say that to say God still blessed me along the way. And so I would get off at 12 o'clock, and another friend of mine, she worked there as well. Her boyfriend drove. He would pick us up from school, take us to the job. We would work our little 4 hours, and then when we got off, he would pick us up and he would drop me off and then drop her off. And I remember there was a time when the rent had not been paid, and every day when my friends would drop me off, I would hold my breath all the way around the corner because I was so afraid that when I got there, my stuff was going to be sitting out in the street and I was going to be embarrassed about, my situation. But thank the Lord, I didn't get put out on a school day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we did get put out. And it was only by the grace of God, a lady who worked at a grocery store that was right down the street, she felt sorry for me, and she had an extra room in her house that already had a bed, and she allowed us to come and stay in her home. But that was her home. And so I had to do whatever I needed to do to get myself together, to find a place where I had an address and to find a place where my son had an address. Because when I called mama, when I found out that I was going to lose my apartment, and say, Mama, what am I going to do? And she said, well, I don't know, but you can't come here.
Mhm.
So, that hurt me, and I had to suck it in and swallow it. But then I had to think about it. You are out here as an adult. And I say this now, when our children become 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, we are so quick to want to kick them out and tell them that they are adults and that they need to go off and do their thing. But to be honest, those are the years that they really need the most help because I didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what services to look for. I didn't know where to go for help. I eventually found what I needed. I don't know, through the grapevine, through the guidance counselor at school. I don't even really know. But those first 9 years of the 70s were really, really difficult for me because it wasn't until I met Joe in 1979 that my life began to turn around and it started to look like what I thought somehow life was supposed to look like. But life in the 70s, it wasn't easy. We started off, I told him, I said, we got on this topic because a few weeks ago, Pastor Stan and Pastor Gail were talking about uh, uh, music for lovemaking. What kind of music do you put on when you're in the mood? And
Right.
so we were laughing at them and playing all these songs, and we stayed up that night till almost 2 o'clock in the morning, just playing songs and laughing. And we thought, well, we should talk about life in the 70s. We sounded like a really good thing at the
Mm-hmm.
time, but this morning, as I reflected back, I was like, well, darn, my life in the 70s wasn't that great. So, you out there in Facebook land, drop in the chat. What was your life like in the 70s? Was it all Flower Child and
Yeah.
and good music? Was you smoking a lot of weed back then? What was you doing? Because we had our Boone's Farm and
The jug.
the sangria, and the music was popping and everybody
Yeah.
was just doing their thing and nobody was worried about nothing, but we still had our struggles.
Yes, yes.
And couples struggled with money,
Mm-hmm.
they struggled with roles. Just like I said, my roles were changing. I went from being a child with a baby,
Mm-hmm.
into being an adult, still child with a baby,
Right.
trying to figure out what to do, trying to learn how to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
trying to learn how to pay the bills on time, trying to learn how to just live life like I saw it. You see things and you look at a couple, you look at a family, and you envision what their life is like. And then you make up in your mind this fantasy kind of thing of, oh, wow, I want to have a life like them. And I told y'all last week I grew up on Leave It to Beaver and
Mm-hmm.
and the Cleavers. So I mean, this was supposed to be a perfect, life. But when I got out there, that was not what I found. So drop in the chat. What did you find when you got out there in the 70s? Were you around in the 70s? What part of
Mm-hmm.
your life were you? I see Lillian says she was 17 years old with a baby girl. So Lillian, how hard was it for you? Who else? Somebody tell me. What was it like for you out in the 70s? Were you working already? Did you have a job? Were you just getting out of school?
Mm-hmm.
What was going on for you? What was it like for you? What was it like for you, Joe?
My life in the 70s was pretty much the same. It was a struggle. I got married when I was 18. That was 1968. And I had two daughters. And life was good. I had a job, of course, and everything. But suddenly something happened, and my first wife and I separated. And then I was free, so I went and did a whole lot of fun things because I was free, but still kept the job and still kept in touch with my daughters and everything. And this was in 75 when we separated. Then I went, wow, I had fun. I was going
Mm-hmm.
to bars, I was going to clubs. I'm talking about every day of the week, and not just on the weekends. I was a party guy.
I really was. I'm not shy.
I maintained a job and everything, and then suddenly I thought, I guess it was around 78, somewhere early 78. And I said, this is not the life for me. And I quiet down, and I was living in Emerson Village in Baltimore, Maryland. And a friend of ours,
Friend of that. Should have friend of that.
oh,
Friend of that.
a friend of ours, okay, uh, introduced Barbara and I, and it took what 6, 8 months. We was just talking and everything, and then I realized I said she's a lady that really wants something out of life, and I wanted something out of life. So her and I we hooked up. we
Hooked up ever
very
since.
fast. We hooked up, and then life started getting better for me because I had this plan, this fairy tale life that you know we're going to live happily ever after. Everything going to be a rose garden without the thorns. And it wasn't that way, but we survived it. We worked through it. We worked through it, and we did have a hiccup where we separated and we came back together, but the struggle was real, and we just had a life challenge and change in our life. And then we found God, and we knew He was with us all along,
Yeah, all the time.
all the time. He never leave us or forsake us. But we got a connection, a relationship with God.
Amen.
And that's when, for me, things started opening up. Things to me got a little easier. My decision making was on point. And I guess it was the path that God had me go through to come to that path with Barbara. And we are here 45 years later.
I was looking at some of the comments that
Mhm.
Lillian put, and she said that her mother told her that the house wasn't big enough for two grown people.
Mhm.
So she had to go. So I understand. But in my reflection and looking back, because I'm always looking back. I don't know, maybe it's because I am the age that I am, that a lot of times I reflect back to the things that God has brought me through, the hurdles that He has allowed me to jump over. And I'm thinking about couples in the 70s and things that I believe couples then have that couples now don't look at it the same way. I guess it's the way to say it. One of them things is that love changes,
Every day.
and that's normal because we are not the same people that we were back in the 1970s when we met. Um, do we like the same things, do the same stuff? Yeah, but internally, we have grown,
Mhm.
we have matured. Hopefully, we've gotten some wisdom, and we're not as impulsive as we used to be. My brother, oh my God, he's just so impulsive. He just he gets an idea and he done went from 1 to 99 and he ain't thought about it, ain't researched it. And I used to be the same way. And I remember, and actually, this was during the period of time that Joe and I were separated because Joe was always like my ground wire, I guess, if that makes sense. When you do what electrical stuff, I think it is, you always have to have a ground
And
wire
grounded, yeah.
so that you don't shock yourself. So Joe has always been that for me. And so during the period of time when we were separated, I actually had two girlfriends who I ran by them just about everything. And I told them that on purpose because when they saw things, when they looked at an idea, they looked at it all the way around. I have a tendency to look straight down the path. And I say this a lot to my sisters and my dunamis sisters, and y'all can attest to that. When we have our conference and our gatherings, and it's a lot of people in a room, if I walk by you and I don't speak, it's not because I'm being rude or stuck up. It's that I really did not see you. Before I started going where I was going, I focused on where I was trying to get. I focused on that chair, or I focused on that sister that I wanted to hug. So I'm looking at them because that's where I'm headed. I'm not looking to the right or the left. So I said all that to say the two friends that I had, any idea that I had, I would run it by them because they would look all around. They would look on the right and the left. They would pick it apart, per se. They would say, well, Barbara, did you think of this? Or Barbara, did you think of that? Because I didn't think of any of that stuff. And so that was a big deficit for me during the time that Joe and I were separated. And it's probably one of the reasons that we are attracted to each other, because what one doesn't have, the other does. And the two of us together make a complete. And it's something else that I thought that getting married made you complete. But getting married does not make you complete. The completion comes from within you and with your Father, God.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you grow as you, when you get married, you grow into each other. You actually understand and learn how they function, and they learn how you function.
Yeah.
And then you can gel together,
Yes. Yes.
And it's not a smooth situation all the time, because like Barbara said, we are changing every day.
Yeah.
A lot of times what I like today, I might not like tomorrow, and especially with food.
He likes to experiment a lot.
But anyway, uh, so you live and you learn one another. You understand one another. You know what I know what to say that can really knock her off her kilter, and she know what to say that do the same for me. But we also know what to say to bring us back together too.
Yeah.
It might take a day or two, but we'll come back together.
Yeah. Another thing that I feel like couples nowadays do, and I'm guilty, I was guilty of this too. We marry the fantasy of the person, not really the person.
Mm-hmm.
And for us women, I know a lot of that goes back to the fairy tales. We grew up on Snow White and Cinderella and all of them. And in all of them, there was a damsel in distress, and a damsel is nothing but a little girl. There's a damsel in distress, and then she's rescued by the knight in shining armor, and then they ride off into the sunset, and their life is bliss and happy for the rest of their lives. Well, that's a fairy tale. But over the decades, we have learned each other's habits. Over the decades, we have learned each other's weaknesses. We all have them. We have learned each other's strengths. And one of the things that helps to keep the marriage together is that we learn to accept the real person,
Yeah.
not the fairy tale of who we thought that real person was in the beginning. And so winning arguments doesn't seem as important. Peace comes when you say, okay, we're not going to agree. You got your way of thinking. I got my way of thinking. Let's just agree to disagree and just keep it moving. Winning arguments does not build closeness. The scripture even tell you that you get more with your sweetness than you do with that antagonistic spirit. The old folks used to say it this way: you get more flies with honey than you do with shit. That's for sure. So just that, and it I know that deep down in you, when you're angry, you just want to, you can just feel it down inside of you. You just want to gnaw like a dog gnawing at a bone. You just want to, gotta have the last word, gotta have the last word. And that's one of the things, oh my God, that is one of the things that forgive me, y'all, I cannot stand that about our generation of young people now. They got to have that last word. And I have bit my tongue a number of times talking with mainly with my granddaughters, because they're 30 something, pushing 40, and they know everything.
But yet they don't know nothing.
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 Nothing. So throughout marriage, laughter. Laughter is a great survival tool. We laugh at a lot of things. We laugh at the stupid stuff we used to do. We have this one joke, oh my God. And y'all would think this is the silliest thing. But when we first bought this house, we came around here one day to do some work because we would get off from work and, after our schedules were cleared, dinner was done and all that, we would come around here to, do stuff in the house so it would be prepared when we moved in. And we got caught in a really bad thunderstorm one time, and it was raining too bad to leave, so we were in here, but we don't have no furniture because we hadn't moved in yet. And all we had was this little swatch of carpet that wasn't even wide enough for both of our behinds to fit on it at the same time. And we in the floor laughing at each other, saying we made a big mistake. We should have went to Bill because it was a carpet person, a vendor in our area, Bill's Carpet Barn, and they were supposed to have the best prices on carpet. And we're laughing because we sitting on this little swatch, this little swab that we had picked up at a carpet store, trying to figure out what kind of carpet or what color carpet we wanted. And we were just cracking up. I mean, it's thundering and lightning outside, and we in it sitting on the floor, just rolling and so in laughter so hard that the tears are coming down our eyes. And all we could get out was we made a big mistake. We should have went to Bill's. So laughter is such a wonderful tool, and God gives us that.
Yeah.
He says laughter is food for the soul.
Mhm.
You know,
And it changes your mood all the time.
yes, it does.
Laughter give you a happy sensation, even though you could be mad and somebody come in just to get you to smile, to laugh a little bit,
Yeah.
all of a sudden the whole situation changed. But too, I want you was talking about laughter and I want to talk about kindness.
Okay.
Kindness will take you a long way.
Yeah, well.
Kindness will open doors for you. It will just relax the person, that you are kind to, and you'd be surprised how much kindness that you have in you that you could do instead of evil.
Mm.
You know, I was talking to a friend just yesterday, and she was telling me about that this person done something to her, and now the person sent her a baby shower invitation. She said, I don't think I want to go or do this, because she did this to me. And I told her, I say, you can't do evil for evil.
No, you can't.
Have to show kindness. I say, even though you don't want to be there, just go take a gift, give it to her, and keep it moving.
Right, and give it to her with a pure heart.
Yes.
Don't be resentful or
Right.
grateful about it. If you're gonna do that, really, you might as well stay home.
Exactly.
So pray before you go. Go with a clear mind. Go with a clear heart, and you'll be surprised. Something about you that person might need, and vice versa, because God does not put people in our lives for no reason. He always has a plan. There's always a divine connection. And I am in my older years getting to the point where, especially when I meet somebody new, and it seems like that person is just kind of like thrust into my life, not for anything that I did, just kind of got there. Maybe we met on an elevator or in a doctor's office or whatever. I always kind of get quiet and say, okay, God, so what is this about? And what am I supposed to do for this person? Or what is this person here to do for me? Because there's always a two-way connection. And when God divinely puts somebody in your place, sometimes it's somebody that we don't even really care for that much at the beginning. I have met many of people that at first thought I was like, I don't think I could deal with them. But that person has been very helpful in my life in a later season. Not right then when I thought I didn't want to be dealing with them, but in a later season, God has brought that person back. And so all things, like I always say, and like the word says, and like my auntie's favorite scripture is, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and those who are called according to his purpose. And even though in my younger years, I used to quote that, I never really started to really grasp the understanding of it until lately.
Mm-hmm.
Not some things, all things.
Mm-hmm.
Not half of the things, but all things. But we got to do our part. We have to trust the Lord and we got to give it to Him.
Yes, give it to him. And he will open doors. He will open up the floodgates. And,
Floodgates of heaven. Oh my God.
and you want to do commercial?
I am because
Okay.
every day, every Saturday when we come on here at 6 o'clock, we wonder
Mm-hmm.
how if we got enough stuff to talk about. And
Mm-hmm.
every Saturday at 6:30, we're looking at the clock and saying, "Dang, it's almost time for us to go." And we ain't said half of what we wanted to say. But I do want to say this again. I want to thank Dr. Dunamis D and her daughter Ariel Fuller for allowing us to be here on this platform. This is a Black and Married with Kids takeover, and Pastor D and Ariel trusted us enough that they allowed us to be here, and we are so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. I am grateful, number one, because she sees something in us that we still are trying to see ourselves, and she knows enough to push us and stretch us into where
Mm-hmm.
she sees us going. And I am grateful for her vision. I am grateful for her commitment to the Dunamis family. And while I'm speaking of the Dunamis family, I would like to say if you have not clicked that link in the chat to join the Black and Married with Kids private Facebook group, I want you to do that now because that's where you can go to find out all of the activities that we get a chance to participate in Dunamis University, Dunamis Woman, Healing for My Soul. There's just a wealth of information that you can get out there coming up next month in April. April 24th and 25th. We're all going to be gathering together in Atlanta, Georgia for the Healing for My Soul live movement,
Mm-hmm.
where Pastor D and her daughter Ariel will be there hands on to sit with us and talk with us and work with us to help us get that healing that we need for our souls, because we all need some healing. We all need some healings. And Pastor D, she's not one of them standoffish people. You'll get to speak with her in person. You'll get to talk with her. You'll be able to ask questions live, and she will be able to pour into your life. And I promise you, if you can make it, your life will forever be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And then come back during the week and join the rest of our group. We have a panel of five of us, I think six of us all together.
Mm-hmm.
On Mondays at noon, we have Dr. Glenda Bailey Hayden. She refers to herself a lot of times as Dr. G. She comes on at noon on Mondays with something she calls a mom's minute, right? Smack dab in the middle of Monday. Mothers who have children and are maybe stay-at-home mothers or maybe homeschool, whatever the situation will be. But sometimes you just need a little adult conversation. And if the hubby is home at work all day long and your other friends are doing what they do all day long, sometimes you just really need to just get a little insight to get you through that second half of the day. So while your kids are on their lunch break or on their recess break at 12 o'clock, join Dr. G. She
Mm-hmm.
always has these wonderful tidbits on how to make it through your day, how to move through your day with momentum and peace. And then later that afternoon at 7 p.m., we have Kevin and Maisha Booker. They come and talk about things that have to do with infidelity in their life, that they have seen it as they have prospered together over the 23 years of marriage that they have been in.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Tuesday, we have Pastor Stan and Pastor Gail, two mighty pastors in the faith.
Yeah.
And that's what they come to talk about. They come to talk about faith in marriage. They have some good tips, some good points. Pastor Stan has had to do the show a couple times by himself, and I got to give it to you, Pastor Stan. You got it going on. So come on in on Tuesday evenings. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
on Wednesday, yes, Tuesday
Tuesday evening,
evenings,
yes.
and see Pastor Gail and Pastor Stan. And then on Thursday, Wednesday, we get a break. But on Thursday, we have Dr. Garrett and Lisa White. And they talk about communication, and they have a wide variety of subjects as well.
Mm-hmm.
You always find out something good. That's the one thing I can say about every person. It's not just for married people. You can get some nuggets that you could apply to your life, whether you're married or single. Um, if you come, I promise you that you're going to go away with at least one nugget, at least one.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you one. If you ever come and you don't get one nugget I want you to hit me up on my Facebook page and let me know. Because something ain't right. Because we be dropping the nuggets all the time. And then on Friday, we have Quetta J. Quetta J talks about the praying wife. And the things the wife has to pray for, the things the wife has to pray to lift her husband up, the things the wife has to pray for their marriage to be fruitful and promising and long lasting. You know, she wears it out on Friday night. So Friday night used to be the night that we all go out and party. Well, people ain't doing that much no more because there's too many bugs and germs in the air, and you go out one night and you come back and you're sick for 3 weeks. So Friday nights when you ain't got nothing to do, get your little glass of wine or whatever you want to drink and pull up a chair and listen to Quella because she got some good tips for you.
Yes, you do.
And I think that's the whole wrap up. I do one more time. Want to say April 24th, 25th, Healing for My Soul live in Atlanta, Georgia. Come, you'll get a chance to meet myself and Quetta and Pastor Gail and Maisha and Glenda. We'll all be there. I'm only naming the females because the men don't usually come. It's more of a women's thing because we're looking for the healing for our souls, for the things that we have gone through in life, the traumas, the heartbreaks, the abuse, the domestic violence, the molestation, the perversion. The list goes on and on and on. And we need a lot of healing, y'all. So come on to Atlanta, Georgia in April so that you can get what you need for your soul.
Yeah. Yes. And on Saturdays at 6 o'clock.
I figured they knew that part by now.
We just have to tell them
We're gonna
anyway.
tell you anyway. Come on back next Saturday. We'll be here
Yeah.
6 p.m. So I'm sorry, Joe. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
No, I'm good this week.
Okay. One last thing I want to tell you about the Healing for My Soul Live. Go to www.healingformysoullive.com. Register today. www.healingformysoullive.com. Register. Come and see us. Atlanta, Georgia. Don't be square. Be there. Power to the 70s.
Peace out.
Peace out. We'll see you next week.